Hey, Nikki. It's
Hey,
happy hour time.
Yay! Cheers to you. And cheers to everyone joining us online. Thanks for coming back and chatting with us again. Grab your glass, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. It's happy hour with Jeannine and Nikki. And this is where we have our unscripted, uncensored chats about what it's like to be an online business owner, a mom, and change your life.
Yep.
So I guess that's really what we're going to talk about today. We said, Jeannine, is what is it like? What is it like to be working from home, to not be getting up and going to an office? How is it different? How does it feel different? What does your day look like? So, I mean, hey, you might as well jump right in.
Sure, that sounds good. Well, I mean, honestly, it's a really big difference. The contrast, I mean, from let's say getting up at 5 or 6 in the morning and then just the scramble, the getting ready, the scrambling out the door, beating the traffic, getting to the office. And then for me, I was on the road. So where am I going today? And sometimes it was 400 or 500 kilometers in a day, just kind of running around. And then you're going back to the office. I live in a rural community. So the travel factor for me was huge. All I was doing was traveling. So to wake up in the morning, kind of organically, I like to have coffee with my husband. It is early. It's like 6-ish, 6:30 in the morning, but it's out of like, let's just chill and chat before he goes to work. And that kind of just gets my day going. There's no real urgency. And that has really taken a lot of stress off my life. Like, I don't know how it's been for you, Nikki, but that's a huge difference when you're just kind of like the day goes by so quick because all you're doing is running to like, you can take a breath. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I was going to say that it must feel so much better. And it's so much better. You know, you mentioned your husband for relationships when you can take that 5 or 10 minutes. And so many people, I hear so many of my friends complain between running off to work, getting home late, cooking, doing chores, and then dealing with kids, taking them back and forth to places. It's very difficult to find time with your spouse, right? Which is why, a lot of relationship coaches say, oh, you got to make date night. Well, date night doesn't become quite so important when you get, like you said, even 5 or 10 minutes to just chill with a coffee, have breakfast together, have lunch together, whatever it is. I mean, I agree 100%. That stress thing is huge. And you know what else hit me is I think, and maybe you can talk about this, I imagine, because I know you have children and I have children, and so I know how I felt, but if you were driving 400 or 500 kilometers away, I mean, what happened if the kids needed you, if the school called, if someone was sick, right? I mean, I'm sure you must have dealt with that.
I dealt with that quite often, to be honest. Like, what do you do? Like, my days were so demanding that it's not like I can just magically leave everything and run. My husband also does not have a career like that. You can't just pick up and leave. So, you have your people in place, but it's always a panic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the worst thing is getting that call, like they're really not feeling well and that person's not available and they're stuck sitting in a room just wanting their mom or dad to be there to pick them up. I hated that feeling.
And there goes the mom guilt. The mom guilt, right? Trying to work, be successful, be responsible, be someone at work that people can count on. And then you get that mom guilt or dad guilt too, where it's like, I want to be there for you, but I can't. Like, I have this presentation or I have this or have that. And we all know in the big scheme of things, family's most important. But reality is, whether we're a big time manager, a salesperson, or whether we do a job that can be replaced, where, like, what I mean by that is, someone else can be called in to pump the gas or serve the coffee easily in those hourly paid jobs.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we still don't feel a sense of pride in our work. And it doesn't mean that our boss is going to appreciate our issues. And so some people fear for losing their jobs, right? I remember having jobs where when my kids were little and it shouldn't have been a problem, and I was still getting the work done. But I had a particular supervisor who didn't have children, didn't understand that commitment, and quite frankly, didn't care about anyone's life, whether it was a health condition, being sick, kids, whatever. And I do not miss that at all. Not at all. You know, that mom guilt kind of disappeared for me because I could stop. We're in the middle of a program right now, but if something happened and I had to say, you know what, Jeannine, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to cut this short, or I'm going to have to reschedule this. I know I can do that, and you're going to understand, and our viewers are going to understand, and you don't have to feel terrible about it. So the feeling is huge difference.
Yeah. And I think that's like what's relieved so much just of that is a huge stress factor. And you don't really realize it until you're kind of in it or out of it, I should say. When you're out of it,
you're handling it, you're juggling it. Yes. And then you stop, and your skin gets brighter, and your chest gets less tight, and your headaches go away, and the bags under your eyes go away, and you wake up in the morning, and you know in the movies when the star wakes up in the morning and they're all perfect in bed, and they take the deep breath, and the sun comes through the windows, and they're like, oh, my life's so perfect. It's almost like that some days. It's like, I don't have to wake up and go, oh my gosh, I got this and this and this and this at work, and I got to do this for kids, and where's my husband? And I can totally relate to that. 100%.
Yeah. I think it's really like it's working with ease is the difference, because running a business, there is stuff to do. There is focuses there. I have I have my day planner. What am I doing today? Like, what are my goals? But if I wake up and I'm off that day, or, I struggle with dizzy spells. If I'm in a dizzy spell, I'm going to be in bed. I'm going to be taking care of myself. I am going to cancel what I'm doing, and I am just going to reschedule because I can do that now. And I don't have that extra stress on me going, there's no way out of this. Like, especially if you struggle with health things, it's important to take care of yourself.
Menopause is in my butt. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And how I could be working right now for someone else. And like you say, you're your own manager. So it's not that we're not doing the work. Like, I'm glad you clarified that, because we're not saying this isn't work. We're not saying, hey, people, get into an online business, put your feet up, have a drink, and it'll just manage itself. It doesn't work like that. But we can manage our time. And we have however many hours there are in a day or in a week. And we can manage those 24 hours however we want to. So if we have a dizzy spell in the morning, we can work in the evening. Or if we have a commitment we need to get through, maybe that's the only commitment we have to do today. But it's that time management and that balance, right? That's the key. Balancing, being able to balance what you want and what you need against what you have to do to produce outcome and have a good living.
Totally. That's 100% correct. And I think it's really a matter of like, look at yourself in your career. And if you're driven, motivated, like you're an asset, you're an asset, you can also be that asset for yourself. And I think a lot of like entrepreneurial people that's never explored that option, that's when like their best self comes out. Because you're that same person, you're driven, you're motivated, you have creative ideas, you have so much to give, but now your efforts are going to build your future, your legacy, not someone else's. And I think some people don't know that, but there's a large amount of people out there that do care about that.
Yeah.
Big time. I was one of them.
Oh, me too. And you know what? That's an interesting distinction between let's just say an entrepreneur who, for example, owns a restaurant, and an online business owner who's using the power of automation. Because if you're a business owner in a restaurant, you work hard. You work very hard. You work hard from the day you start until many, many years in, unless you're lucky enough to get a good staff, good manager, good reputation, solid business growth. It can be years and years and years. And it's a labor of love. I know many restaurant owners and they love what they do. They love their customers. They might work 16 hours a day. It doesn't necessarily feel like work to them at first. But the problem with many of those businesses is 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, with staff turnover and economic ups and downs. I mean, look what we just saw in 2020. They're still working 12, 13, 10-hour days. They can't get away for a long vacation because there's no one who can do the business like they do the business. And so that's what I love about this, and being that entrepreneur and putting that work in. Sure, you put the work in, but with this business, as your business grows and your automation takes over and you put things in place, it begins to work more and more and more for itself. It doesn't turn off. It's not really affected much by the economy, and you can be anywhere. You can be on vacation. You can be picking your kid up from school and your business is still okay. And that peace of mind for me is a huge difference, because I've been both, right? I've been an entrepreneur and I've been an employee for someone else. And I've had both jobs where I punch a clock and jobs where I self-managed a lot more.
Yeah.
And none of them compare to the freedom that I feel when I wake up in the morning with this business and know that what I feel like doing today, for the most part, I mean, like you said, we still have commitments, we still have things, we're still responsible people.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I can juggle that for how I want to. And I think that's huge.
It is.
So really quickly, I just want to go really quickly, like a minute, about what kind of our day kind of would look like work-wise. Because I know people are curious, like, what is it exactly you spend your time on? So for myself, the majority of my time is spent right now learning, because I'm always learning. So I'm always watching our, new training updates, watching other people in the business share their knowledge, looking at other speakers outside, whether it's business people, inspirational people, motivational people. So that learning is a huge part of my day. And I think it's really important for anyone, whether you're in an online business or whether you do something else. I think continued learning and growth is huge. And then the second big part of my day is spent on my phone. I ordered a new iPhone 12 yesterday. I'm so excited.
Nice.
Perks of business.
Nice.
But the other part is spent on my phone, whether it's taking pictures, creating posts, keeping up to date with my people, sharing, answering questions, because we get a lot of questions. So answering questions, being on social media, and that's stuff I was doing anyway, but before I had to feel guilty about it, now I don't. And then I would say the third part is running my business, whether that's creating ads, talking to people that I'm helping mentor, talking with, different people we have to communicate with in the business, doing paperwork, but that's minuscule in the big scheme of things, I think. And so that's, if anybody's wondering, that's kind of how I spend my day. And when I'm doing those things, I can be in my office, I can be outside in a lawn chair in the sun, I can be pretty much anywhere that I have usually an internet connection or data connection and my phone or laptop. So for me, that's it in a nutshell. And I suspect yours is similar, but is your day spent similar?
Yeah, it is very similar. I think the biggest shift for me, and I think it all comes down to like home and not having the crazy busy lifestyle I had before, is that my focus way more is on mindset. I find way more time than I ever have in my life really focusing on what I'm thinking about, what I'm filling my head with, my heart with. It changes. I really changed my mornings, just spending that time getting into the zone, and it just like that peacefulness I need to get. That's a big change for me. It's like, because I have the time, and I've realized it's the biggest asset I have is me, and I need to be the best me I can be that day. And if I don't take that time for me, I have a very different kind of a day. Yeah. So I think that's been my biggest thing with this, everything that you said, plus really, really focusing on the mindset part. And, you know, we talk a lot in our group. We have lots of like law of attraction conversation and meditation and prayer. And like, it makes a big difference in your day. It really does.
It does. And
Yeah.
actually that combined with the time and the access to have healthier eating and to exercise. Like I'm walking every day now, every day. And I can build that into my work day. I often do posts or lives, my people that follow me know, from my walk. So yeah, that's right. And I kind of took that out of there, but you're right. All of that encompasses really part of our work day now.
Yeah. And that's, I think, where a lot of like the inspiration comes from, because you're already kind of prepared and open for the day. And that's the difference. You're not in anxiety go mode. You're in like, hey, let's create today. What do I want to do with my day? It's more of a flow versus a expectation, which is very freeing.
And that's a whole nother actually show we can do, is about, you know, what you put out there, you get back. And that whole law of attraction really opens wide up when you have the ability to do just like you said, have the positive energy instead of all this negativity that comes along with having a stressful, busy, what most people are living life, right? So yeah, I think it's huge. Before we wrap up, is there any negatives?
You know what? I would just say it is a transition. That's it. For me, the transition of being that self-starter again, being organized. I mean, things build slowly over time. And that's the nice thing about this. You don't need to be everything all at once. And that's the beautiful growth process about, you know, a part of this journey. But you do recognize there's some really big assets that if you don't catch it's not that you need a routine, but you really do need a focus, and you need goals, and you really need those to be really clear. And I think at the beginning, something new, it's a lot at once, but it's like, no, just one thing at a time. It's one thing off the checklist at a time. And that's the most important thing you could do, is just breathe. Like,
right. So not really a negative, more of a challenge. It's more of a challenge to make that switch.
Yeah, you got to get in that mindset that you're the boss, you're the CEO, and it's in your control, right? What you're focusing on. Yeah. Big thing. What about yourself, Nikki?
I think one thing that pops into mind, and a lot of people ask me about this, is if you are a social person, if you enjoy going to work to meet with your coworkers, you make friends at work, you sit by the coffee, whatever, people aspect of working with other people, that's social, that's a hard shift for some people to get their mind around. Like a guy actually said to me a couple of weeks ago, I don't know how you do that. I couldn't be at home all the time. Well, it's not like I'm at home all the time, and I'm not alone. And that's the great thing about this business, is we work by ourselves. We work for ourselves, but we're never by ourselves. So I've met people like you, made great friends. You know, sure, we don't meet in person at the coffee cart, but if I want to talk to you during the day, I just FaceTime you, Zoom you, text you, phone you. And the best part is I have, 20 other people in our online group that I can do that with. So it's great to have made all these new people who we have this work thing in common, and we also have a lot of other things in common. And then on top of that, I don't have to call a work person. I'm not restricted to that. If we're in the middle of the day and decide we want to call our mom or our best friend or our sister, we can do that, right? So that you actually open your world more. And it seems backwards, but it actually feels more social in a way. And I think, with everything that happened in 2020, I felt very lucky to have made all these online connections because I couldn't see my local friends. So for me, that's probably one of the big things that people would think about. And then the second challenge, I think for me, because I lost my job, right? So I went straight into this full time. So for me, one of the challenges is not having that regular paycheck in the beginning that I could count on. Okay, I'm going to get X dollar check every 2 weeks or every month or whatever.
Of course.
And I think that's why a lot of people start while they're still working. They start this business, they build their business, and they make sure that they can manage, their bills. But the great part about this business is once you exceed what you were making at your corporate job, that problem disappears, because when you're not living check to check, like so many of us are, when you're not living check to check, it doesn't matter if your check comes once a week, once a month, every 3 weeks, because you've got that cushion. You're not panicking, running, looking for the paycheck in the mailbox. It's great. So, I mean, for me, those would be the two biggest challenges or downfalls or things that people might see as negative. But honestly, there's no negatives in my workday as an online business owner. I find it fantastic. And I would recommend it to anyone. Yeah. Get on board, you guys. What are you waiting for?
It's one of those things that it's one of those things that, like, it's just picking the right path, right? There is options out there. It's finding something that aligns with what you see for your future. This is a legitimate business. It's not a get rich quick, it's not like nothing like that. So it's one of those things that it's like you have plans to change your life and you see a different future for you and your family, and you are a person that cares about creating that.
Yes.
This is a no-brainer. Like, this is an absolute no-brainer to me.
Well, and everything is not for everyone, for sure.
Yeah.
But I listen to a lot of people. I'm a podcast nut.
Me too.
But Dave Ramsey is one who comes to mind, and he says, you're working your 9-to-5 job. You've been doing whatever for so many years. If you're not willing to change and look at other options, what makes you think anything's going to change? If you've been living check to check for however long, a 2% raise isn't going to change that.
No.
Some extra overtime at Christmas isn't going to change that. And so, for me, you want to make a change, you jump into something completely different. You step out of your comfort zone and you check it out. And that's why I love this, because sometimes when you do that, for example, opening a restaurant or starting a business can be hugely stressful, huge investment. Yeah. This isn't. This is a relatively tiny investment. Yeah. You can stop if you decide it's not for you. I mean, to me, people who are watching, who are thinking, I want to make a change, I don't know how, I agree with you. Check it out. Try it. If it's not for you, it's not for you, right? Totally. I wasn't sure it was going to be for me when I started, but you take a chance and you see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys all for being here. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. Sure, there's people from all over the world watching. We want to know you're here. So say hello. Let us know where you're from. And I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Comment below if you have any questions, and we will see you on the next episode.
Absolutely.
Cheers, Nikki.
Happy day. Cheers.